Hi, good evening. My name is Bethany Olson. I work for Elevate. We're a nonprofit based in Chicago. And tonight I'll be talking about LeadCare Cook County. This is a lead service line replacement program that is specifically designed for childcare providers in suburban Cook County. So first, before I dive in to details about the program, just a little bit about Elevate. I mentioned we're based in Chicago. We actually work with communities all throughout Illinois and actually throughout the country. Our mission is to ensure that everyone has access to clean and affordable heat, cooling, power, water, et cetera, in their homes and communities. We run a whole variety of different programs. My team specifically works with the childcare community, and we focus on lead hazards in the learning environment. With this program in particular, we focus on lead and water. I'll be going through some information, just a little bit of an introduction to lead and why we're concerned about it as a hazard in the home or in the learning environment. Most of the time tonight, I'll be speaking about LeadCare Cook County, and then there will be some time for any questions at the end. I'll also have our contact information, so of course you can just reach out via email or phone with any questions or to learn more. So just first a little bit about lead. So lead is a toxic heavy metal that is naturally occurring, but if it ends up in the human environment, it is almost entirely from human activity. So that might be used in plumbing. It was added into paint and gasoline for a long time. It can also be found in other things that might end up in the home, but it's not naturally occurring in like consumer products and plumbing. So the big takeaway for lead is that there is no safe level of lead. The ideal level of exposure is 0 parts per billion. It can cause serious health effects in all age groups. We focus on children, especially children under the age of 6, because it is particularly detrimental for kids as they're younger and developing, especially as their brains and nervous systems are developing. And we really want to focus on making sure we're getting lead out of the learning environment and the home environments for children at those young ages. I mentioned just a moment ago, these different places that we can find lead in our homes or in our learning environment. So, it might be lead paint, it could be in toys, and we can find it in drinking water. So Elevate actually has a couple of other programs that help address lead hazards in other parts of the home, especially lead paint and other areas. But I will refer you to a colleague who focuses on those programs. I don't want to give any information that might be incorrect about how those programs work, but we do have other programs. So if you're interested in learning more, please do reach out. We'll connect you. But the lead service line is specifically what we want to talk about. A lot of people may already know about this, but the service line is this pipe that's underground that connects your home or facility to the water main. And that is what brings water from the municipal water source to your internal plumbing. In a lot of communities, they may have been built, in the 50s, 60s, earlier, and lead might have been used at that point. It was banned in the late 80s. So homes that were built more recently are very unlikely to have lead lines unless they were built on an old site that had a lead line. But we also see in some communities that the public half might already have been replaced, or the private half might have been replaced, or there are places where there's a full lead line. Whatever the case may be, we do want to get that lead out of the plumbing system. So that's specifically what we'll be talking about when we're discussing how LeadCare Cook County works. So just to touch on a little bit, some of the actions to reduce lead in water. I mentioned if you identify that there's a lead line, there are actions you can take. Removing is the ideal solution, but you also you might be looking into addressing any internal plumbing that's made of lead. You can also install permanent filters. There's a couple of different types of filters. If they might be faucet mount, they might be under the sink filters that connect Obviously, there's also filters you can install in your refrigerator, and you can use fridge pitchers. So this is all information that we talk about in some of our other programs, but we also do talk about replacing filters, maintaining them, and doing flushing and other cleaning of aerators for your plumbing. And you don't have to remember all this information now, but we do include it when you go through this program because we want to make sure that once your lead service line is replaced through LeadCare Cook County, that you are taking these either daily or semi-regular steps to continuously keep lead out of the drinking water supply. So again, just to share a little bit more about that. Also, if it turns out you don't have a lead line, that's good information to know anyway. But these are some of the steps that we like to talk about. You might already be familiar with this if you watching this are a licensed childcare provider, because Illinois does have requirements for childcare providers to keep lead out of the drinking water in your home or facility. So this process might be familiar of testing for lead and water, learning the results if at any fixtures, if there are results above 2.01 parts per billion, then taking steps to mitigate that lead and then retesting until you consistently have lead levels below 2.01 parts per billion. So this is familiar for anyone who's gone through that process with DCFS. And I just wanted to touch on this because we'll come back to it later. But we do include free test kits as part of this program because we do know how important it is to make sure after you've had your lead line replaced that those lead levels have come down. So we do want to check back on that. So all of that background on lead, now we'll get into the exciting stuff, which is talking about how LeadCare Cook County works and how it can benefit childcare providers throughout suburban Cook County. So as I mentioned, it's a free lead service line identification and replacement program. This program is made possible by federal funding, and we're working in partnership with the Cook County government to implement this program in communities all throughout Cook County. We will come out and identify and do the replacement. There's other services that are built into this to make it a really comprehensive program. But one of the things that we also just like to make sure people know is that this is a big investment in not just in the health of you and your family and the kids in your care, but also in your home or facility. By replacing this, you get a brand new line. A lot of service lines are getting older, and an emergency break and replacement can be really expensive. So in addition to helping getting lead out of the plumbing system, you're also investing in just improved infrastructure for your home plumbing. So then just to go into a little more detail about how the program works and what the child care experience is when you enroll, we'll get in touch with you right away within a couple of days of signing up, and we will schedule a time for us to come out and do a visual inspection to see if you have a water service line. Again, that is a free inspection. One thing that we'll also typically do even before that is we will try to get in touch with the municipality and see if we've already identified a lead line at your home, then that just speeds up the process a little bit. But we do a little digging. We also might reach out to you, and based on the age of your home, or your facility, we might be able to ascertain if there just wouldn't be lead there anyway. But the first step is going to be just figuring out if there is lead at your location or not. If there is, then we will get to work finding a licensed plumber who works in your area, and we will schedule with them we'll schedule with you to come and find a time to replace the lead service line. Again, that's all totally free. We do the procurement of the plumber. You don't have to do anything there. You just have to make sure that you and the plumber can find a time that works for both of you for them to come out and do the replacement. We also will make sure that any areas that are impacted, like the lawn or anything perhaps in the basement, is restored back to the condition it was at before the replacement happened. So sometimes there might be a couple of different parts of the property that need to be restored. Again, that is part of the program. You do not pay for restoration through LeadCare Cook County. We take care of that. And then I mentioned earlier, we'll send free test kits about a month or so after you've undergone replacement, just to make sure that we start taking a look at where those lead levels are at following replacement. So we'll continue sending test kits as long as we're seeing that there's any areas, any faucets that are testing above 2 parts per billion. Hopefully, after replacement, we see those levels come down, but we'll work with you on that. And then I always just like to make sure you know that this is not just something where you sign up and then we pop by occasionally. You have ongoing support available. You can reach out at any time. We have bilingual support staff, so please reach out. They're very nice. They're very smart. They want to help answer your questions and make the process as easy and straightforward and non-stressful as possible. Um, so that's the LeadCare Cook County journey. Um, we, I touched on a lot of this, but we include a lot in this program. Our goal is to make this easy and a net benefit experience for you. We want to make sure that we're kind of covering any point where you might have questions or concerns or where costs might come in, and so that those are covered. So the inspection is free, the replacement's free. We do all the construction oversight to make sure that work is proceeding as it should. We complete all of the restoration, and then I mentioned the testing. I don't think I mentioned, though, we also provide a fridge pitcher for your use once we have identified a lead line at your location, and then we'll also provide a faucet mount filter. So again, trying to make sure that we're kind of covering all the areas where you might have lead impacts and trying to make this a good comprehensive experience. So if you are thinking about enrolling, we're really excited about that. Please reach out by phone or email if you have questions. But if you're ready to enroll, you just need to be a licensed or license exempt childcare provider located in suburban Cook County, and you are eligible. There's no income eligibility, anything like that. Those are just the two things that you need to be eligible. And then once you enroll, we are going to get to work trying to determine if you're connected to a lead line. We'll be in touch with you every step of the way, and we'll keep you posted as we're learning more information and getting closer to replacement, or giving you the good news that you already don't have a lead line, so you can have that peace of mind. Just a couple of frequently asked questions that come up that you might also be wondering. First is, if a lead service line is identified at your location, how long does it take to replace it? I love this question. The short answer is that once construction is scheduled, it typically takes a day or two. That's the average. In rare cases, there might be, it might take a little bit longer than that, but typically it's about a day or two. In terms of when things can get scheduled, what we try really hard to do is to minimize any kind of waiting time. So once we know that there is a lead line at your location, we try to start working with our plumbers to figure out who works in your area and try to get that moving, to try to get it scheduled. So that can take some time, but the actual replacement itself, just 1 to 2 days. So a lot of people are surprised that it's that quick. I was surprised to learn that also. That's our average, though, and we're really excited about that. And it's not super disruptive for too long. Related to that is whether your childcare facility needs to close while the replacement is in progress. That's a little bit more of a complicated answer, because the answer is that it depends. So some facilities do decide to close, and they might work with their licensing representative or their parents to determine that. Some facilities are able to work it out where they're able to stay open, but that is something that you will just need to work out and see how that will impact your facility if you need to close or if you're able to close. Sometimes there might be a break coming up where you already, if a spring break is coming up, you might already have been closed during that time anyway. But it's not a cut and dry yes or no. It really is a facility by facility decision. And then another question I really love is, what resources do we provide for free? So I really do like to emphasize all of the work that is performed at your facility is for free, but also that we have those wraparound services of pitchers, filters, the lead testing kits, and of course, our really, really great support team that are available to answer questions, address any concerns, and we're all working really hard to make this program a good experience, and especially to make it really easy to get lead out of the learning environment. So we try to cover as much as we can in this program. So I'm not going to try to play this video because I don't know quite how that will work on Zoom, but one last thing I did just want to share is we have a couple testimonials from childcare providers who have already gone through LeadCare Cook County and talked to us about their experience. So Angelique Green is a childcare provider, I believe in Maywood, and she has a great video you can watch on our website about her experience. So I really just encourage you to check that out. We also have a couple others and just learn what their experience was like and what the program meant for them. So I think that is the last of my prepared slides. I don't think there's any. Oh, good. Okay. Here's the contact information. So it's info@leadcarecookcounty.org. We've got our phone number, and then you can enroll at leadcarecookcounty.org. So that's our online enrollment process. And no, that really was my last slide. So I don't think there's any questions in the chat, but I will pause there. Don't know if it'd be helpful for me to add anything else in here. Otherwise, that's all I got.
Thank you, Bethany.
Sure.
Do we have any questions? If not, then we can go ahead and stop the recording.
There are
Sounds good.
questions in the chat.
There are.
There are none.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't see any. I just wanted to make sure. And I can't figure out how to, oh, okay, there's the contact information. All right, I think we can probably stop the recording then.
Okay.